Today we're going to review the back half of the Skypiea arc from One Piece. It's episodes 27 to episode 52, season 6. If you're watching on Netflix, I'm going to say season 7 because Skypiea arc is really long. And before I hop into it, if there's a review you want me to do, let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I'll get to it as best I can. Also have a Patreon, patreon.com/AliZaka for $2 a month. Get your review cut in front of everybody, get it out way before it comes on Facebook and YouTube. Now let's go ahead and get into today's episode, One Piece Skypiea arc. Season 6 part 2 or season 7 watching on Netflix, and it's a continuation from the first part of season 6. Episode 27 to 52 are pretty much just pure battle arcs, the war between the Shandorians and the Skypieans, and they're fighting over the Varth, which is the island of Jaya that got shot up into the sky. And by the way, this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen it, go watch it, come back. But you know, it's been out since 2004. But yes, the island of Jaya got shot up to the sky, and Cricket, who is looking for the island of gold he believes is under the water, is actually up in the sky where the rest of the Sandorians are at. And for the most part, the things that I like in this season is Eneru. I love Eneru. I think he's a very cool design character, cool villain. Pretty much his idea was to destroy Skypiea and take his ship to Endless Varth, which is the moon. That is his goal, to get to Endless Varth, where he believes he's the richest of all people by having all this endless land. And he's like, I'm going to not drown, but sink Skypiea out the sky. And Luffy, it's up to Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hat crew to kind of stop him, but the only reason they're trying to fight Eneru is because they got caught up in this war. They went to go look for gold, and they hear the Golden Bell is in the sky, but they don't know exactly where it's at, but it's up there. So they're looking for the Golden Bell, which Eneru's like, oh, this Golden Bell, this will put the Bell of Legends that the Skypieans and the Sandorians say, once it rings, it ends the war. He's like, I'm going to find it and take the bell for myself. And they finally get to the bell, and Luffy end up cutting to the end here, end up knocking Eneru with a Gongon rifle, with a golden rifle, through the bell to pretty much ring the end of the war, and also realize to show Cricket that, hey, old man, it's up in the sky. The island of gold you're looking for, the city of gold, is in the sky. And that was one part of the season that I liked. I love the Eneru character, and I love Luffy, how Oda written it so Luffy would hit Eneru into the bell to get the bell to ring. So you got two birds with one stone there. But really, all it comes down to, the Straw Hat crew had nothing to do with the war. They were just there, and they just got caught up in it. And they figured, well, since we're here, since we're on this island looking for gold, and there's a war going on, the Sky Islands, the Skypieans, they don't like the fact we're here. Shandorians don't like the fact we're here, so we kind of got to fight our way through this battle royale, this war, to get to the gold that we're looking for. So they got pretty much wrapped up into this. But Eneru was one thing that I liked. And the story gist of it, I liked the storyline of this Skypiea. I thought it was good when it came to like revealing Nolan and the Shandorian war hero. I can't think his name right now, he's blanking me, but like their backstory, and you see how they got along with each other. Not Kagura, I can't think of his name right now, I'll figure it out later. But how they got their backstory and how they came to be, and how the island got shut up there, and that Nolan wasn't a liar. Nolan wasn't like a weak character. He was a very strong scientist, and he ended up saving the Sandorians when they was part of Jaya. And when he went back, he was like, what happened? And Kagura, I think his name is, they was like, we gotta let Nolan know if we're still alive. We gotta ring the bell so he can hear us, so he doesn't, you know, hopefully he's there. And Wiper was trying to ring the bell to let Cricket know that, hey, Nolan, we're still here. We're still alive. We're just in the sky. And that came to the end of the season. The episode 27, about 34 or 35. It was just mostly and probably a little longer. That could be a little bit later, like maybe to 40. But it was just mostly the Shandorians versus Skypians, and Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji fighting off of his 4 warriors, fighting Enru's 4 warriors, and I can't think of their name right now either. And that's one dislike that I have, is that like there's so many characters in this season that you do not get to see who everybody are. There's so many characters with cool designs, and you just like, I really don't care about this person. Like Gatsu, he fought Chopper. It was cool to see Chopper get a moment, but like the dude didn't really have a backstory to him. He was just a cool design character. Or Zoro versus Ohm, once again a cool fight, and a cool character design, but like there's not really much backstory to it. I never felt like the Straw Hats was ever in danger, and maybe because I've seen One Piece to its current right now, and I'm reading the manga, so I know where it ends, or not know where it ends, but I know where we're currently at. That maybe me watching this, I never felt like they was in danger. I just didn't feel like the Straw Hats was in danger. It's like when I go back and rewatch, you know, the Alabasta arc, I felt like the Straw Hat crew might not survive that battle. I felt like they can take the L here anytime. Or when I watch Water 7 and Ian's Lobby, I feel, you know, I've seen those arcs multiple times. I feel like the Straw Hat crew might not come out on this one. They might lose in this one. There's that sense of tension. Versus Skypiea doesn't really have that sense of tension where you feel like, oh no, Zoro might not be Ohm, or oh no, Sanji might not be the floating cloud guy, which I think he beat him season 1, or season 6 part 1. But I just felt like there wasn't really much tension, and maybe because there's so many characters you had to get used to, and just probably the world building of it all, where some characters and backstories get pushed to the background, so they're just there for pure action and not really for the storytelling of it. So when it comes to fighting, you're like, yeah, Zoro's not gonna lose this guy. Yeah, Usopp's gonna survive this. Nami's gonna get through. Like, I don't know what to say. It just, that's a negative of mine. And then another thing is that Skypiea does feel very long, and I think the reason for that is just the fact that majority of the fight is there's not really much action. It's Enru floating away, and Luffy's trying to get up to Enru, so he's running up the Beanstalk, which is a cool idea. It's cool concepts that are here. It's just a lot of like running to the Beanstalk, and then people running away from Enru, who's attacking everybody from the sky because he's up above, so he can't be touched. And Luffy keeps trying to get up to Enru, and Enru's like, yeah, no. Yeah, no. But when Enru first fight Luffy, it was a cool moment because Luffy is rubber and Enru is not. Enru is lightning, and lightning doesn't affect rubber, so Luffy is like getting hit by Enru and just like, or he's like picking his nose like, I don't understand what's going on. Should I be hurt? And Enru's like the cool design of Enru realizing like, this guy is who is he? And Enru does mention he's a Paramecia type, which something that they don't talk about. Like, I don't remember hearing what Paramecia types or Logia types, or it's Paramecia, Logia, and there's one more, Zone types. I don't know if they really explained it in the season. When did they explain? I don't know if they explained it quite yet, but Enru mentioned he's a Paramecia type multiple times in this season. That you're a Paramecia type, there's no way you can hurt me. I'm a Logia type. I'm a superior version of a Devil Fruit user. I can turn myself into lightning. You can just stretch your arms. You can't hurt me. And Luffy's like, you want to bet? And just, Luffy has some cool fight moves like Gong Gong Fireworks, where he is punching the ship. And Enru's like running towards him, like, you can't hurt me. He's running towards him. And Enru is surrounded by Luffy's fist, and it's just a cool moment. Like, this season has a bunch of cool moments in it, but I feel like because of the way the battle was set up, where Enru constantly gets away from Luffy and Luffy's chasing Enru while at the same time Enru's attacking everybody, it drags the fight out and seems more like a slower paced fight than Luffy versus Crocodile, where he's right there and they're fighting each other and they have like a moment break and they come back and fight each other again. They have a moment break and they come back and fight each other for the final conclusion, like a 3-round fight. Versus this one, Luffy fights Enru one time. Enru's like, I'm not dealing with this. Here's a giant ball of gold on your arm. Get out my way. I'm flying away. And Luffy's like, wait, you didn't win round 1. I'm finishing this fight. Get back here, you punk. Like, that's pretty much what it comes down to when the final conclusion happened, the climax. People think this is a very long arc. I don't think it's a very long arc. I just think it's more of just, because 52 episodes, or sorry, 52 episodes is just as long as season 1. Season 1 was like 65 episodes. It just, I feel like the way the battle was set up, it just make it seem like it was really long. Because like you had a bunch of characters fighting each other early on in the mid part of the season that you don't really care about. So therefore your investment is not as heavy in it as you would with like the Baroque work stuff where you have with Vivi the whole time. Like you're not really invested with it as much. There's not somebody who's in constant danger. It's just a Straw Hat crew moving on about their business looking for gold, and they just find a little bag out of fight, kick their butt, keep going. Now, there's one cool scene where Enru shows up and he fights Robin, Zoro, Gonfall, and Wiper. And that's a cool moment where Enru's kind of like, I'm better than the rest of y'all. I can also use Haki, which is not being brought up yet. I forgot what they call it in Skypiea, but he can see observation Haki pretty much, where he can see what's about to happen in the moment. He can hear stuff what's about to happen in the moment. So he's like, I can predict your movements. You guys can't beat me. Like, you can't beat me. And you can't tell him he can turn to lightning. He was just so arrogant. So when he fought Luffy, he was like, Luffy can't hit me. Like, he gets hit, he's like, I got touched. I've been hit. Son of a gun. I don't like this. Who is this guy? This rubber freak. Who is this? But like when Zoro, Robin, Gonfall, Wiper trying to fight Enru, it was like a cakewalk for him. He's like, you can't touch me. I'm just that cocky. And is a guy with a god complex. That's pretty much what it is. And Luffy kind of brings him down to earth. And at the end of it, he actually does get to the moon. Like he ended up just saying, screw Skypiea. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to the moon. And so Enru is gone from the season. And after the war is over, you do find a poneglyph, which is a cool part. Cool part because Gold Roger has been to Skypiea, and he writes on the Golden Bell, which I don't know how he got to the Golden Bell, but he writes on the Golden Bell like, Gold Roger's here, and I'm mapping out the next level here, or going to the next piece of the map. And Nico Robin's like, wait a minute, if Gold Roger's here, that means could it be towards the where the end of the goal lines where we find the truth of the world? So Nico Robin kind of finds herself like maybe she needs to be with the Straw Hat crew at this point in time, and I just love the fact that like Oda put Gold Roger in it, so there's much more world building going on. And then at the end of it all, you have the Straw Hat crew getting back to Earth with a balloon octopus that lets them down. And there's a mention where Raftail gets brought up, and I don't know if Raftail, and this is it's gonna start part of filler, where Usopp was like, Usopp goes, why don't we just take the hot air, octopus to Raftail? And Nico Robin's like, that's at the end of the Grand Line. We just can't go over. There's so much you have to go through to get over there. So I just take the balloon to Raftail. And I was thinking like, have Raftail been brought up yet? Have they talked about this? And maybe they have. Maybe they talked about it when it was in season 1. But I know we're about to get started into a filler arc here, which is a pretty fun filler arc. But I feel like Raftail doesn't get mentioned that often. So here Usopp mentioned Raftail, you're like, wait a minute. And then if you didn't pay attention, you don't know what Raftail is, that quote he says right there was almost like pointless. But because I'm also caught up, I know what it is and I know what it's actually called, but it's not Raftail. I'm not gonna mention it until I get there. But I just thought it was interesting that Usopp brought up Raftail. Like maybe it's something that everybody knows where One Piece is at. I know Roger said he you have to find it in One Piece. My treasure in the Grand Line, you have to find it in One Piece. I think everybody knows the last island in the Grand Line is Raftel. So that's something. Also, they did realize that Gold D Roger, so Gold Roger, not Gold Roger, but Gold D Roger. They talked about his name because Gold D Roger and Monkey D Luffy. So they talk about they both have D's in their names right now. So they mentioned the Will of D in this arc, but we don't really dive into the Will of D. And I don't know when they changed. I know why they changed Gold Roger's name from Gold D Roger to Gold Roger, because they were trying to hide the D in his name. But he's like, yeah, no, it's actually Gold D Roger. And I don't know. The show mentioned the D in the name, but I don't know if they mentioned like why they changed to Gold Roger, not keep it Gold D Roger. I think that's much later on as well. So I'm probably dipping into spoilers that's happening months, I guess years in this as far as season goes, years down the line. All right, let's go ahead and get into characters on this back half here. We got Luffy and the Straw Hat Crew. So Luffy, still same character. Like, I just like how in this season, this back half of it, he was like, his determination was to beat Inaru, because Inaru hurt his friends. He hurt Robin, Zoro, he's hurt his crewmates. He's like, all right, I got one beat Inaru for that. He also kidnapped Nami. And then 2, I need to ring that bell because the bell will help, Cricket to stop searching for the City of Gold in the water and killing himself. It's okay. It's in the sky, man. Stop. So Luffy is pretty much like all this other season care about his friends. And I do like how in this season he has to think more out the box to be Inaru. Like, he knows he just can't just run up this beanstalk. He needs help from Robin and help from Nami, and they like guide him to like, hey, how can I do this? How can we do this? He's not just like going there like, yes, he want to punch them, but like, for example, when he couldn't punch Enru anymore, he was like, all right, if Enru can see ahead of time, use observation hockey, maybe I need to punch into something where I can ricochet my punches off of and hit him all at once. And then he used that same technique again where Inaru decides to try to bring down a giant ball of like lightning to pretty much destroy Skypiea. Luffy goes into it, and because he can't get hurt by lightning, and use the ball as a conductor to break the lightning ball up. Like, so Luffy is thinking more outside the box, and he's just pretty much another fighting genius where like, yeah, he's one dimension sometimes when he don't think about food. But other times he's like, all right, click on the fighting brain and let's figure out how to solve this fight, because I'm not going to lose. I'm going to win regardless. So Luffy is the same character, but I like the way I like how Oda made him in this season's back half, where he actually thinks a little bit and he's, trying to take out Enru in more than one way versus just Gong pistol, Nami she's fan service in this season, but she's still a vital point to the season. So she ended up getting picked because she know how to stay out the way. She ended up getting picked by Enru as the last person to go with him to Endless Varth and to watch everything burn. And Nami's like, yeah, I'm here to try to figure out what's going on. And so she learned more about Enru, but she also like, Enru's a creep, Enru's a jerk, and we just can't, I can't be around this. I got to get out. And she pretty much did a kind of stall Enru towards the end, but she's also looking for gold as well, and she's fan service for the most part. Like, I don't know what to say about Nami besides like she can't really fight Enru. She's some comic relief. She's comic relief and fan service for this season, and that's pretty much where she's at right now. Like, she's not using much of her word of knowledge, but she is like kind of also helping the crew. Like, she does the one who get the final idea to cut the beanstalk down so they can fall towards Enru, because Enru's just sitting there knocking them down. So let's fall towards Enru as he's trying to get away. So she does add parts of it, but the majority of stuff she's kind of there for comic relief and just to stall Enru. That's pretty much what her part is. Usopp's also another comic relief character, still jokey, still scary. He does stuff for the sake of his friends, but for the most part, like, he gets burnt for the majority half of the season, back half of the season here, and he does help Sanji rescue Nami, but just comic relief character. Sanji's still the same cook, same lovesick guy, a little overbearing at parts where like anytime like they go say Nami Swan, and I'm like, God dang it, Sanji. But he does help also stall Inaru as well, so Inaru just can't get up and go. So there's bits and pieces where the Straw Hat Crew comes to place, but majority part they're just the same characters. Nico Robin, she still calls the crew like chef or cook or swordsman or captain or navigator. She doesn't call them by their actual names right now. She still calls them by like their title, doctor. But she's looking to find the City of Ghosts. She's looking to find the Poneglyph there, and she does get that mission solved in this season. And she has a part where she fights one of the divine warriors who is attacking her and destroying the ruins. And she's like, yeah, you're not going to do that. You're not going to disrespect history and ancient history. So she does have some moments here in this season. But for the most part, she's kind of doing her own thing. Zoro, just cool, have cool fight scenes. That's what he's here for. Let's see, Zoro, Sanji, Chopper is the doctor. He has a moment where he fights. He put down a pacifist mantle and fights Gyatso. And it's a cool fight. It's an interesting way he does it. But for the most part, the Straw Hat Crew is still the Straw Hat Crew, and not really much changes with them. Then you have Viper. Viper is the Sandorian leader at this point, and he is pretty much stubborn, hard-headed, like we're going to beat the Skypians, we're going to take down Inaru, and we're going to get back our land. And then towards the end, he realized what Luffy's trying to do, and he's like, all right, I'm going to support Luffy and help him out. But he's a warrior, so for him, it's kind of hard to just let the old days go, and he's learning to kind of, once the war is over, to relax and say, like, we can trust the Skypians. Inaru was a bad guy, not the Skypians. Kagura, he is the warrior from the past who met Nolan, and he's the one who helped save this village who was getting killed by a bunch of tree poison or tree sickness that Nolan helped cure. But him and Nolan, because the Skandorians didn't let outsiders in their place, and Nolan was the first one to come in and kind of make a difference. And Kagura was considered a warrior to save the village, and that's where the story between Nolan and Kagura starts. It starts way before, so you get to learn a backstory on that and why Viper is so determined. So Viper's story plays into their past. That's why he wants to ring the bell, find the bell and ring it, so he can let Cricket know that, hey, Nolan wasn't a liar. We're up in the sky, people on the earth, we're in the sky. Please don't forget about us. And it just pretty much comes down to, like, that's why the Kagura and Nolan storyline is important. Nolan, the liar, he's not a liar. He was actually like a scientist, as I said earlier, and he just finds Jai before he gets shot up in the sky through the knockup stream. But for the most part, they're both good characters who have their own beliefs. In this story, it's like a 4-episode story that gets put into towards the end of the season 6, and it was interesting because, like, I actually get to watch it over again. It was interesting to watch and see how the two ideologies collide with each other, and they both try to, put back with tradition and understand, like, the modern times. We can still have tradition, but in the modern times, these are things that can help save people's lives. If we do these certain things, you have to follow tradition, because tradition might not save you. Sacrifice somebody to, moons to sun spirit or sun god is not going to save your people. The way to save it, sometimes use science and use technology. So, like, Sandorians learn how to do that with Nolan, and they had like this, buddy, everybody getting along with each other, and then Nolan started cutting down their trees, and they get mad at Nolan again, and Nolan's like, oh, I didn't know, should have asked, but the trees had sickness in it that was spreading through all the other trees and killing the forest. So they end up saving them in a way, but they didn't ever tell them what they was doing, and the Sandorian was like, no, this is horrible. But then they end up pretty much making up again and say, like, no, we respect you guys, thank you guys so much. And no one wanted to come back to fulfill a promise, and it was gone. So Viper wants to fulfill the promise that Kagura was trying to do, was ring the bell to let Nolan know that we're alive. And Viper wanted to do that. And that's what Viper is so envisioned, to take down Inaru and ring that bell, that Luffy ended up helping doing at the end of it to pretty much fulfill the Sandorians' mission, their journey. He ended up fulfilling that for them by defeating Inaru. He got 2 birds with 1 stone. Isa is a girl who can see observation haki as well, and she kind of helps the Straw Hat crew gets to Inaru and also understand like everybody's still alive. We can hear what's going on. She ended up sneaking her way onto the battlefield and ended up being like a good friend with Luffy, and they she's just pretty much there to kind of add comic relief, but also give the Straw Hat crew a little insight what's going on too. You have Yama. Yama he was the number one guy to Inaru. He was there, like Nigoran beats him. He was fine. You have Om. Om was kind of like the strongest of Inaru's people. Inaru Divine Warriors. He was getting cool character design, but loses to Zoro. Like it was a cool fight. It was okay. Like him, Wiper and Zoro try to fight Om, and Om loses Zoro. You had Gedatsu, who loses a Chopper. Cool design. He never really, like his gimmick that he never really crossed his arm. He kept holding his arms like this. This is the way he was dressing his arms, and they're like, that's not how you do that. He goes, oh, careless. And like it was just a cool character. Like Suntory seemed to be more of the goofiest version of the crew. He loses Sanji, Usopp, and Luffy. Shura loses to Wiper. He was probably one of the most, and I think the voice actor was for him for the dub, but he seemed to be the one who was more cutthroat than the others. Like he didn't really like oh, we'll let people pass. It's like, no, you come in here, you die regardless of where you go. And he loses to Wiper. Wiper blows him up. You have Gonfall. He was the former king of Skypiea who loses to Inaru. You learn his backstory. He's an older character who tried to like correct his wrong, try to stop Inaru. He felt like his responsibility to stop Inaru. And he was cool. Like, he was fine. You have Canis. Canis was the girl who pretty much introduced the Straw Hats to Skypiea, and she felt like it was her responsibility to kind of save everybody. That Inaru was a horrible person, and she does that. Like, she pretty much sticks her neck out to save everybody, regardless of what everybody thinks. You have Pagaya, who is kind of his father. Another cool, this is okay character. Like, I really don't have much to say about the rest of them. Like, they're all just there. And Inaru's the last guy. He's the big bad. Has his god complex, think he can, rule the world and destroy Skypiea, because once he's done with it, he sees like, I had no use for it, so I'm gonna burn it down and then go on to the moon. And that was Inaru's point. Just a guy with a god complex, but he has a cool character design. Lightning user, so it's pretty cool seeing lightning being used. And who knows, we might see him in the future, we might not, I don't know. But Inaru is off on the moon and doing stuff on the moon. If you read the manga, you can see little short panels where him's doing stuff in the moon. But yeah, Inaru, as far as the villain goes, just amazing character. Kind of one dimension, like he just pretty much like, I'm gonna conquer and move on, conquer and move on, conquer and move on. That was his thing. That was pretty much Inaru's thing. That was it. Nothing else, nothing different. Yeah, one dimensional for sure. Yeah. All right, any other thoughts? Not really. Like, the music's still the same music. The animation when Inaru versus Luffy and that final fight scene where Luffy used Gongon rifle and like punches him, and that iconic moment where the ball crashes into the bell, and Inaru's like getting crushed between the golden ball and the bell, and the golden ball crashes and the bell rings. The iconic moment there, the animation is a lot different, I noticed, from the other parts of the season. Like, it got more clean and crisp. Maybe got better budget increase, but it was, a moment is really iconic, and that's the one thing that stands out to me with this season, is that final piece compared to everything else. Luffy versus Inaru was cool, but all the other fights is just kind of like, man, like, and that's, I think, the negative I have with this season is just there's so many characters that you really don't get to sink in on people, versus like Baroque Works, where they talked about them for 3 whole seasons. And then they go off with Nami getting sick to get the doctor, and then they go to Alabasta, and you meet these characters throughout the the journey. You meet Mr. 3, you meet Mr. 2, you see Mr. 1. Like, you hear these characters often about they're doing things, and then when they have their fights, they're sitting there getting ready for war, and then they come across the Straw Hats and like, okay, we have our fights, but their rankings, I guess, added to it. You know there's no 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Like, you know who the rankings were, Mr. Zero, who's the head of it all. So you had a sense of like, okay, the number one, Mr. One gonna fight the number 2 of the Straw Hats. Mr. Zero gonna fight the number 1 of the Straw Hats. Like, there's rankings there that you could see, versus this one, you can assume who was stronger when it comes to Divine Warriors, but it was just like Divine Warriors versus the Sandorians, and the Straw Hat Crew is in the middle of it all. So they're just fighting whoever gets in their way. I guess it was like just a hodgepodge battle, which that's fine, but it was never like a Dragon Ball Z knockout fight. And I reference Dragon Ball Z because it's one of the best fighting anime there is. Like, but they also had very long filler in it. But as far as action goes, Dragon Ball Z knew how to deliver. Yu Yu Hakusho was another one that could deliver on action anime. And One Piece in this battle, like, there was action pieces, but it was spread out throughout the land because they're not that far, but they are kind of farther away from each other. And then Enru, just the way the fight was done, where Enru constantly floating away and Luffy's trying to get up to Enru, was like, it was a cat and mouse kind of game where the final piece happens in such a cool moment, but it just takes so long to get there. And I think that's the pacing of it, I'd say, was probably the negative that I was mentioning earlier. This pacing of the battle, where you're just like, okay, we're dragging this out, and probably because the writers trying to catch up, or the animators are trying to stay ahead or stay behind the writers. So there was like, hey, let the writers catch up to it. We're getting a little too far ahead right now. Let's slow it down a little bit. Let's add a little more filler into it. But like the filler that was adding into it, which is like a lot of Luffy running, falling, running, falling, running, falling, Usopp being goofy, running, falling, Usopp being goofy, and you're just like, okay, it's fine, it's cool. But the fight scene, like the moments it was pretty cool to watch, and I definitely enjoyed it. The character design was cool. It's interesting just to have a whole world above the sea called Skypiea. It was kind of cool to have there. And I'm just kind of glad that now Skypiea is kind of over, moving on to the next thing, because like the whole goal is to get to One Piece, and it's just like a piece of the journey that was having to be there that kind of opens up a bunch of stuff in the world of One Piece. Like, you learn about hockey, you learn about, another thing, poneglyphs, you learn about this. So it's cool to see Logia and Paramecia characters, like the difference between them. So there's stuff you learn about. So Skypiea is a vital, cool piece. But like, it's almost, when you get to Wano, it's almost like Skypiea is an afterthought. I hate to say it. All right, grading time. I'm gonna grade the back half of Skypiea, One Piece Season 6 Parts 2. I'm gonna grade this, I'm gonna give it a C+. It's gonna get a C+, a 79% for me. The reason why I'm gonna give it a C+, because like, it is a giant fight sequence. It is pretty much nothing but just fighting, but the fights are so spaced out and the characters are not fully fleshed out, where it really feel like it means something. It's more just like battle pieces, and then the final fight with Enru, like, you had that moment there, and it's cool moments, but not then like really like the ride home about. Like, I'm not gonna walk away with Skypiea being like, dude, that arc was amazing. It was just like, it was fun. It's cool to watch. It's cool. But the character Enru was cool. The final fight scene was cool. And the backstory between Kagura and Nolan was cool. But other than that, it was okay. Like, I had fun, but I wasn't anything like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to give it a C+, a 79%. If you've seen this back half of Skypiea, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys in the next episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.